It was 2 in the morning. I was in bed with my eyes closed. And out of nowhere, there was this light. And it was a light inside my body, or at least it was only visible when my eyes were shut, going from the middle of my forehead down to my heart. And it was bright, and it was right there. Here's what I did with that. I opened my eyes and told myself I was completely imagining it. That's it. That's the great spiritual response I had. The author, the teacher, the guy who makes the spirit fractals. There's a beam of light moving through my own body, and my first move is to completely discredit it. And I did that for an hour. I'm not exaggerating. I spent an hour fighting with myself, an hour of me arguing with my own forehead in the dark, while Jen was fast asleep beside me. And the light just waited. Every single time I closed my eyes, it was still there. Until finally, I just threw my arms up and gave up. And really, this is really important because it wasn't holy. I just gave up out of pure frustration. Right? It was just fine, I'll get up. I'm not sleeping anyway, so let me just get up and sit with this stupid thing and figure out what it wants. But to understand why my body was doing that to me, you have to understand what I'd been doing to my body for months. I quit my job on the 8th of August. 888 actually was intentional, and at the time I thought it was amazing. And to really make it obvious, I actually resigned at 8 in the morning, right to the second, from Fluid Design, the carbon fiber rowing shell builder. It was a good job. Actually, it was a great job, and I left it to do this work, whatever this is, the thing you're watching right now. And I built my channel around the spirit fractals originally, the images, the sacred geometry. Right? They're beautiful, they're safe, they're visual. It's something that you can just look at and go, wow, without it asking anything of you in return. Now back to that night and this beam of light. Right? It started at the third eye, right? The part of our spiritual path that lives in the pineal gland, in the head, in the image, in the pattern. The part where you can see the whole map and never once have to walk it. And I lived up there for months. And then Christmas came and I got sick, this really nasty flu. I was completely taken out. It was the kind of sick where there's absolutely nothing left to think with, just shut down. And for me, that kind of sick is never an illness, it's always a reset. The body clears the line, scrapes the channel clean, takes everything offline so something new can start coming through. So I'm down, out, flattened, the channel stops that I'd started, and the night I start coming back online, that's the night the light shows up. Of course it is. So my body spent months letting me build my entire spiritual life in my head. And then it takes me down to the studs. And the very first thing it does when I've rebuilt enough to receive it is send light from my forehead to my heart. The exact 18 inches I'd been avoiding the whole time. You see, getting out of that bed was the yes. Right there. As soon as I put my feet on the floor in the dark, totally annoyed, I committed to a thing I could not see the shape of. I didn't get up because I understood the whole picture. I got up, and because I got up, I was allowed to understand. That's the whole thing. That's the 18 inches. See, the head wants to know before it moves. The heart moves, and then it knows. I didn't wake up to the bridge and decide to cross it. I stepped, and the bridge was there. So I sat down and I asked, well, what are you? And I got, it's a bridge. A bridge between the third eye and the heart. The 18 inches I'd heard people reference to my whole life. It's the shortest distance that we ever embark on and the longest journey. And I always thought it was just a folklore nobody ever gives you a map for. Yeah, and it was happening right then and there in my own body, in light at 2 in the morning. See, for me, the fractals were my third eye. The whole channel was the third eye. And my body finally said, man, you're not staying up there. You're crossing. My heart was wide open and no part of me was holding back. So there was only one question left, and I could feel it before I even asked it. Does it have a name? And I waited. And it did. Shaa'Vihra. Now here's the thing. I had no idea, sitting in that chair, that the name was just the door. That was the easy part, because after the name came night after night after night, in the same chair, 2 in the morning, actually for most of the night, building something one brick at a time that I had no understanding of, and I couldn't stop. Now, at some point, I realized it was going to be a language. But before I walk you into what that language does, I want to talk about something you've probably already tried. And the reason it didn't work. I've tried hundreds, if not thousands of affirmations, and I'm sure you've tried the same. Maybe you stood in front of a mirror. Maybe you wrote them on a sticky note. Maybe you said them out loud. I did. I am worthy. I am enough. I'm abundant. And nothing ever happened. Actually, worse than nothing, actually. Because somewhere mid-sentence, my stomach would just drop. My voice would go quieter. And my nervous system would whisper, "No, you're not." And I thought, well, maybe this just doesn't work for me. And here's what I've come to realize. It is never the words. It is the frequency underneath them. And that is exactly what Chapter 7 of the Lucid Dreamer is about. So let me read a section of Chapter 7. There are words that do not describe reality. They program it. There comes a moment in the dreamer's journey when thought becomes too small, when language feels like a screen door in a thunderstorm, trying to hold something vast with a tool built for limitation. You reach for words, but they don't fit anymore. Not because you've lost your voice, but because your soul is remembering one that existed before English, before meaning, before sound became narrowed into nouns. Now, as I wrote that really hit me, and it still hits me now, because I think most of us reach that wall. The wall where the words we've been given don't hold what we're actually feeling. Think about the word God for a second. If that word lands softly in you, beautiful, stay with it. But for a lot of people, that word carries centuries of wounds, wars, abuse dressed up as devotion, exclusion, and even the gentler alternatives, spirit, source, the universe. Yeah, they shimmer, but they still carry history. And I needed something that had no history, a sound untouched by doctrines, a language rooted in frequency and not dogma. And that's where Shaa'Vihra came from. And before you think, yeah, okay, this is where it gets really weird, stay with me for a second, because what I'm really talking about isn't a language. It's about what your nervous system actually listens to. Words don't just describe, they build. They're not decorations, they're blueprints. Every phrase you speak is a construction spell, whether you know it or not. Every sentence has a structure. Frequency. What's the emotional tone pulsing underneath it? Direction. What command is giving your body, your field, your future? An architecture. What shape is creating the fabric of your reality? This is more than metaphor. It's physics. It's energy turned audible. So try this with me for a second. Say out loud, or even just think, "I'm so stressed." Feel where it wants to settle in your body. Now say, "I'm in a lot right now." It's the same scenario, different architecture. The first one locks you into a state. The second one leaves an open door. That's not word games. That's the difference between broadcasting collapse and broadcasting capacity. Now here's the thing the personal development world keeps missing. Your subconscious doesn't care about what you say. It cares about how you say it, because the subconscious isn't literal. It's vibrational. So let me read you another section. You can say, "I am worthy." But if your voice carries the trembles of doubt, if your gut tightens, if your breath shortens, your nervous system hears, "I'm not." The subconscious doesn't care what you say. It cares how you say it, because the subconscious is not literal. It's vibrational. Words are scaffolding. They shape the outer structure, but if the tone is off, if the energy is off, the structure wobbles. The field doesn't respond to syntax. It responds to signal. That's the entire chapter in one line. And this is why affirmations can feel so hollow. Not because the idea is wrong, but because the frequency behind the words isn't coherent. You're sculpting quantum architecture with 26 letters and a voice your body doesn't believe yet. So the question now really becomes, what do you do with that? So what I found, and what this chapter explores, is that there's a different way to use language. Instead of using it as content, using it as conduit, as something to enter beyond understanding. I don't know the hours I worked on bringing this language in. I never tracked it, I never counted them. I don't know where the energy came from. To me, it's been one huge blur. And I never questioned it, day and night, night after night. Pure flow until it was complete. 2 a.m, same chair. Building something one brick at a time. This language didn't come to me as vocabulary. It came as a frequency grid, one that vibrated with meaning before meaning. It spoke to the body before the mind could interfere. It's not meant to be understood. It's meant to recalibrate. Shaa'Vihra is not light language as trend. It's a soul geometry in sound. It's a living, breathing syntax of sacred resonance. You don't need to learn Shaa'Vihra the way you learn a human tongue. You need to listen with your cells. You need to receive with your spine. You need to feel it like the memory of something you already know, but had no words for it until now. Because you didn't forget how to speak it, you forgot how to hear it. And now you're starting to remember. Now I'd like to introduce you to these 3 activation phrases, and I know how that sounds. If you're new to any of this, these aren't magic words or a spell. They're not something you chant and suddenly everything changes. They're more like tuning forks. When you strike a tuning fork, you're not creating a sound. You're revealing the frequency that was already there, waiting. And that's what these phrases do. You speak them to remember where you already are, not to get somewhere. So here are 3 from the book. Nai vela shu. I open gently to the now. Just as a soft presence, let it infuse like a whisper to your nervous system. Sahrai onkai. I return to center. Use it when the world spins too fast, or when your mind is the storm. Let each word sink into your chest. And then lastly, Sai nor ak vatesh. I see the light I'm becoming, and I become it now. And that's a timeline aligner, not just pointing towards the future, pulling it closer. Right now, I'd like to walk you through something, and this is a practice from chapter 7. It just takes 5 minutes. You don't need to believe in any of this for it to work. You just need to be willing to be present. That's it. If you're somewhere where you can breathe, close your eyes for parts of this. Try it. If not, just let the words settle where you can. So step 1, ground yourself. Sit down if you can and breathe deep into your belly. Right? I usually put my hands on my belly just so I can feel it extend. So don't do a performance breath. You just want a real deep breath. Feel the base of your spine. Feel the weight of your body. And if you want, you can say this phrase quietly or just hear it internally. Kainor et shah. I return to the breath. Just the breath, nothing else right now. Okay, then step 2, open. Place your hand gently on your chest, right over your heart, and say this out loud if you can. I open to the sound of the real. Let your breath deepen. Imagine just for a moment your heart is not a pump. It's aware and it's listening and it hears the real underneath the noise. So in step 3, choose. So I'm going to offer you the 3 phrases again. Feel which one calls to you right now. Don't think about it. Let your body answer. Nai vela shu. I open gently to the now. Sarai on kai. I return to center. Sai nor ak vatesh. I see the light I am becoming, and I become it now. You don't need to say it yet. Just let the one that resonated fully sink in. And step 4, when you're ready and there's no rush, breathe in. Let the phrase form in your chest before it leaves your lips. And just speak it. Let the syllables rise like a wave and fall with intention. Don't perform it or force it. Just speak from your core. And then step 5, feel the shift. Don't search for logic. Don't try to analyze. Just notice. Does your breath feel different? Did your shoulders drop? Does your chest feel softer, wider, fuller? Even subtle changes, even the slightest opening. That means the frequency integrated. And then step 6 is the seal. Close the practice with this. An vela shetai. It is complete within me. Let it settle. Even after the sound fades, the field remembers. The field is listening. And now I am too. This is the last thing I'll share with you. You've always known this language as resonance, as remembrance. It was there before the words you were given, before the map, before anyone told you what to call it. And I'm not going to translate that for you. I'm just going to leave you with what I said the first night I sat in that chair. The night I made the 18-inch crossing. The night I finally stopped arguing with my own forehead. And I listened. Nai vela shu. I open gently to the now. The book is The Lucid Dreamer. It's linked below. And if something in you shifted today, even a little, leave a comment. Tell me which phrase you chose. Tell me what moved, because you're not the only one who felt it. Thank you.